Good morning, Kansas City. Welcome to another fabulous day out there. I hope you're having a great day and you've tuned in to another episode of Life After KCPS, Real World Learning. My name is Chris Odam, and I'm the lucky guy that gets to interview people and ask them really how they found their path and what it was like to graduate from our schools. And every one of these interviews I do, I just feel so enriched and warmed by hearing really what happens after KCPS. So I'm joined today with a fantastic person that I actually called a colleague and got to work with at a particular building that I still revere and consider one of my favorite places in Kansas City. We're also in a school today. So they do announcements in schools, and you might hear a couple. I'm right now in Central Middle working on this mobile experience and talking to Jenifer Bell. So welcome, Miss Bell. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you so much.
Wind it back for us. Tell us what KCPS school you graduated from, the year, and kind of what you remember about that year.
Oh, wow, definitely. 1993, I graduated from Southwest Math and Science Magnet, the Indians. It is no longer a school. It was a charter there for a second. But I would have to say that Southwest was quite monumental when it comes to me finding my purpose and my destiny. I remember taking, as a junior and a senior, taking comp and reading with Miss Lyons, God rest her soul, and AP Lit and Lang with Miss Tooley, God rest her soul. And they were classes that taught me to love literature, Black literature, classic literature, but they also prepared me for my undergraduate years at Northwest. I am an English teacher today. As a matter of fact, I paid a visit to Miss Tooley after teaching for over 10 years. We got in contact through Facebook. I paid her a visit where she shared with me some of the assignments that she had us do. I just remembered when I started teaching AP myself, I remembered how much fun we had with some of the projects she had us do. So she said, come on over and I'll give them to you. Just so happened she had them published in the English Journal. So that was an honor.
That's really neat. We have that in common in that when I decided to be an English teacher, I also made a point of going to try to find my favorite English teacher and pick her brain. Her name's Elaine Schlossman, and she was a really great Lincoln teacher as well. And we met at a coffee house and we talked, and it was really exciting. She was obviously excited that I wanted to follow her path, but she was a little worried and concerned that I knew what I was really getting. Do you really know what you're getting into? Or yeah, so that's really fun. And I do consider the reason I wanted to teach because of my admiration for those people also. So that's really wonderful. Okay, so take us there. You went off to college. What was the college experience like for young people who've only heard about it or seen it on TV? What was it like for you?
Well, I was a first generation college student, which, means that I was the first in my family to attend and graduate from college. So it was very new for me, but I was excited about it. I wasn't afraid. But what I was afraid to walk into that registrar's office and proclaim my major as English. That was my heart. I wanted to become an English teacher, eventually a professor, but I was afraid of failure. So for a few months of the first semester, I put down psychology, something I thought I could do easily. And it wasn't until one day I was in my dorm room and my roommate was in there with a friend. Both of them happened to be English majors. And they were talking about literature. And they were talking about, some English literature written by Gulliver's Travels. They were talking about it, and I was just listening, doing my thing at the side. And one girl looked at the other one and said, who was the author of Gulliver's Travels? I can't remember. I don't know. My roommate responded. And I'm over there, and I remember from Mrs. Tooley's AP literature class, and I said Gulliver's Travels. And they were shocked, and they looked at me because I was just a psychology major, right? And they felt really bad, a little embarrassed. And I walked out of my dorm room, across the street, into the register, into the building where the register office was, and I put down my major's English. So, I have Southwest to thank for that. A very strong literature program.
Very cool. That's
Yeah.
fantastic. And that's a neat like moment you could probably chronicle like in your memoir or something, because it is that vivid and it still remains that vivid to you. That's really fantastic. So these days you are in an AP class teaching, I think, or no?
I've been teaching for
Sorry, we're going to take this announcement for just a second. Sorry, listeners. If you're in Kansas City right now, you know, occasionally we have announcements at our schools. We'll just kind of make this part of the context of what we're doing. Sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay. I've been teaching for 23 years. And so I've taught everything from middle school all the way up to the very highest of English classes, AP literature. Presently, I'm teaching 9th grade English and Abbott. And I love it.
Yeah. So what do you love about it? I've been trying to do these with educators also to attract more people to the profession. And I think if not that it's going to happen just because I did a video or two, but it seems like when we talk amongst educators on these interviews, my goal changes a little bit, is to help young people hear that it's rewarding and hear that it's really a valuable path that you might pursue, because you've heard a lot of other things about it, I'm sure. So for you, I guess, why do you still love it?
Um,
It's a hard question.
I get emotional. No, it isn't. Not after 23 years.
Yeah.
For me, I loved it because I never feared going to sleep, not waking up, and having to face the reality that I never made a difference. Yeah.
Wow, that's heavy and deep. And that would make you
for years, it is possible to be an educator and not make a difference. But when you finally learn, because it's not something that's so easy for most of us, it took me some years. I always saw science as a gift, as an art. It was something I felt like I was born to do. It came naturally to me. I was very creative.
Sorry, I'm gonna.
Can I continue? Teaching is definitely a science, and I don't believe that. I know I couldn't just survive on it being an art. There were some things that happened in education that kind of shook my confidence, and so I got my master's in education, and I took all those things I was learning, and I applied them to the classroom. Some of the things I was already doing naturally. Some of the things I did not consider doing. And it changed my teaching. I really thought I had reached an apex in my teaching until I was blessed with the opportunity to go back to my home, KCPS, and teach for 6 years. And after teaching there for 6 years, it only took 2 years, I realized that there is another branch aspect of teaching that is much greater than art and science, and that is a ministry. Teaching is a ministry, whether you're a religious person or not. When you walk into that classroom, it is your job to serve your students. What is it they need from you? They need to feel safe. They need to feel that you care about them. They need your knowledge. When my students leave my room, I want them to know you are successful in here and you can be successful anywhere. And that's my prayer. And KCPS gave me that too.
Fantastic.
That 6 years at the sale, those kids got in my face and they're like, I don't care what you know.
Yeah.
Do you care about me?
Fantastic.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
Yeah, I was right down the hall from you for at least 1 year, right? And that maybe couple. And yeah, I share that same feeling. I think, and you expressed it so eloquently. I thank you for reminding me that, the ministry or not, I'm a preacher's son, so I maybe didn't dawn on me as much when I was younger, but that it's also, definitely choosing a path for a reason and knowing it'll have impact, and then kind of celebrating that some to remind yourself what you're doing. So thank you. And I celebrate you, and I appreciate, all I've learned in being part of that school. And seeing everybody, kind of do their style and do their thing so differently. got all these fun little technical moments where lots of interruptions. It's passing period and they're going home for the day. So
Oh, I see.
it's not just that they're interrupting instruction a million times. In case you're wondering, we're leaving for the day here at Central Middle School, and I just got to have a great meeting with their ELA team. I'm the ELA coordinator these days, and so I get to go work with lots of teachers. And so young people, it's a great career. It's a fantastic path. I always said you get paid to continue to learn, really, because there's a profession out there where you don't, and I wouldn't really want that one myself. But I think the profession where you continue to grow and you continue to learn and get paid for it, hey, that's a pretty good situation. So let's do this. It's been a great talk, and I'm reminiscing all our times. I love the classroom that you worked in because it was my first ever when we were at Paseo, and it still means a lot. Places take on a lot of meaning to me when I go back to them. That's the poet in me, or the writer in me, that remembers all the people who've come before us in this space, or get me emotional. And over 15 years, like, so many people graced that stage and in those classrooms at Paseo. It's just so hard to put it all in one memory. So tell us, the students who are listening, the adults who are listening, the Kansas Cityans who are out here, what do you think young people need to hear these days? Or what did you need to hear, perhaps, that you really benefited from as you were emerging out into the world? Do you remember any specific advice people gave you, or do you just have you developed some that you kind of live by that you think other young people might need to hear? And I'll push mute.
I am so glad you asked that question, because I was thinking about this a couple days ago. When I was in high school, everyone, it seemed, was emphasizing or talking to teenagers at the time, young people, I was young, about what do you want to become, your dream, your destiny, And so, of course, you start thinking as extravagant as you can. Oh, I want to be a model mechanic, and they're not necessarily realistic. And sometimes we end up picking things and not really knowing if that's what we should do. And I remember, I think I was in my third year at Northwest, my undergraduate years. I invested all this time and money and loan money into getting this education. And I was like, hold on, what if this is the wrong path for me? And, and I'm wasting all this money and this time. But what I needed to know then, that I soon found out, I didn't waste anything. If you want to know your purpose and your destiny, just look at your likes, look at your dislikes. They tell you a lot. Chances are, naturally, 8 out of 10, you are already doing or want to be what you were meant or you're called to be. And so that's my advice to young people. If you're not sure, just follow your desires, your dreams, the things you fantasize about doing. I don't believe that we generate those on our own. I think they're always there when we're born, and they just evolve until we evolve along with it. And so, yay. That's what I'll say.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I would say there's something in us that we can nurture or find and discover that we were supposed to find and nurture and discover. And
perfectly said. That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, I love thinking that way too. And that, what's true to you now will be true to you later. It'll probably even intensify because, you'll get older and think, man, this is really important stuff I'm doing, instead of, what am I doing here? I don't want to be here, So fantastic advice. We had to get one more bell in there. I think that's the actual last one. But it's been fantastic catching up with you. Students, you're listening to, a wonderful educator who found her path all the way back there in school when she was as a student. And I would say the same notion occurred to me at least a couple times of, I really like it in here. This English class is like where I belong. And I'm rocking these discussions, or my essays are doing really great. And all those things together really do help you decide, well, then maybe I give it a shot and I pursue that, even though other people might not think that's what I should do. And so young people, it's your path, you're steering, you're choosing. Think long and hard about it. But again, think about it by asking people and talking to people who might have experiences you haven't had yet. And watching shows like this one, or really just thinking about what are the options for me out there, because there's so many, and in high school we might think there's so few. So Miss Bell, it's been fantastic catching up with you.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. It's been another fun episode of Life After KCPS, Real World Learning. Reach out to me, Chris Odam, if you want to do a show like this and tell us your story and how you found your path. But for now, thanks, Kansas City. Have a great day.